All right, you guys. Hello, hello. I told you I would be coming back on this evening. I'm here. I'm a few minutes behind, but your friend Micah made sure of that. But tonight I wanted to come on here and let us have a conversation about life insurance. Now, I am no expert on life insurance, but I know what I have witnessed throughout my life when it comes to life insurance. My grandmother was the one who every month the guy would come to her house, sit down with her, maybe watch a little Young and the Restless, and he would get the check that she would have for him to pay her life insurance, or whoever life insurance she was paying. And that was a thing that I saw. So I've always grew up knowing about life insurance, knowing how important it was. And so just over these years, I know you guys have seen it, I've seen it, where people are not having life insurance. We have teenagers and young adults that are, get mixed up in situations and they're losing their lives. And the families are not having life insurance, and they're resulting to, posting GoFundMe's, Cash Apps, and different things of that, just to raise funds for a proper burial. And so I wanted to bring someone on to discuss this with us. So I have Breia. I'm going to bring her on. Hey, Breia.
Hi, Miss Lady Bird.
Yeah, so I have Breia on here. I am saying it right, Breia, right? Okay. So we have Breia on, and we are going to talk about this because this is very important. This is important, honestly, in all communities, but I just got to say it because I'm a Black woman. This is important in the Black community for sure. But really, everybody needs to have life insurance no matter what nationality or background you are. It is something that's very important. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know what it is you do, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Miss Lady Bird, for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak with you and your platform about the importance of life insurance. Again, my name is Bria. I actually live in the beautiful state of Arkansas. Not much to do here at all, but it is the natural state. So just wanted to share that piece of information. I've actually been licensed in life insurance for the last 3 years. I love what I do. I strongly believe that this is my calling. I strongly believe that I'm walking in my purpose. So that I'm married. I got 3 children total, 2 biological. And what I do is I educate in the area of how to build generational wealth, specifically through life insurance and investments. So helping families to be educated on something that I wasn't taught in school. Most people aren't taught in school. So, this community that we are a part of, Miss Lady Bird, we definitely got to spread the word. So I hope that everything that I say is going to be extremely helpful to at least one person. And I really pray that God gives me the right words to say to his people.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. So let's dive into, I know there's different types of life insurance. I know I've heard, you have the whole life, and then what's the other one? Can't think of it. I
Okay.
know. Yeah. So break that down for us and let us know the different types of life insurance that they can that they can get. And so I know you're in Arkansas, but what other areas, because I know, don't you are you licensed in other areas, or how does it work with you?
No, that's a good question. So I do have business partners who have other states that they're licensed in. For me, I'm licensed in Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Texas, Oregon, South Carolina. So those are just a few states. But again, I'm able to make sure that everybody's protected, even if I'm not licensed in your state. I do have a team that is helping me with that. But
Oh,
like the different types of coverages. So of course there's whole life and of course there's term life. So and under whole life, you can fall under several different categories like regular whole life, universal, index. So there's different types of whole life policies, and you'll also hear about a different term. It may have universal term, however, it's not a term. It's just
right.
that name is being thrown in there to catch or draw other people's attention because it's nothing term about it. It's just, it's being, a prettier version of whole life. And again, it's just for the, what is it, aesthetics of the name, because it's not really acting as if a term life at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what it was, term life. Cuz I know I've been hearing a lot of people have this whole thing about, term life is one of those ones. I've been hearing mixed things like stay away from term life, get whole life. So I know my parents have, they have whole life insurance. And they like my parents have like I know they probably had their policy paid up long time. But I've been hearing some instances where people are having policies, they are paid up, and then once they hit this certain age or like for it's like okay, well they live this long, they ain't die, and then when they do pass, they go and then they're telling them, oh, well, we can't do anything with this policy now. So explain that whole like, is whole life better, term life, and why are certain things like that happening?
That's a good question, Lady Bird. And some things you won't learn unless you experience it. However, me being in the industry, I know that whole life, listen, an agent can tell you anything to get you in the door, to get you covered, right? So with that, yes, even whole life has a expiration. So with that being said, men lie, women lie, contracts don't lie, okay?
Right.
Definitely want to read that fine print that that agent or whoever it is has there, because the honest, the truth is in the contract. So you want to look at your summary page, you want to look for certain things. You want to look and see what your premium is, your monthly premium. You want to look at what your face value, whatever the policy is supposed to be worth. If you have a whole life or any type of variant of whole life, you want to know how much it will cost for you to borrow your money. Keyword borrow, okay? Borrow. So after you figure out how much it'll cost to borrow your money, listen, you want to notice how much it's going to cost if you do not pay it back in full. That is the interest that's being attached to that. 9 times out of 10, your interest is going to be way higher than the interest rate that you're actually able to borrow from. So in return, you end up owing more than what you've actually paid into the policy. And so those things, you also want to look at that guarantee value. So you may have a paragraph talking about that guarantee. Even those insurance companies that have big names, they're going to tell you the truth and they're going to say, hey, this policy may not do what it intended to do. So you definitely those sentences there. So I hope I answers your question. All policies have all whole life policies has an expiration, even if you paid
Mm,
it up, because you have that firsthand experience as well. Now, with
right.
it doesn't necessarily expire. You have at the end of your term the ability to make a financial decision, which means I'm going to continue this coverage. However, what I do is I talk to families about buying term insurance and investing the difference. So with that
Mm.
whole life, the savings is attached to that policy. So let's talk about, let me give you an example, okay? You want to role play?
Uh-oh.
Okay. So, Lady Bird, do you want me to call you that or do you want me to call you something else?
No, that's fine.
Okay. So, Lady Bird, let's say that you got $100,000 whole life policy. And let's say that you're paying $200 a month for that 100,000, right? A part of what you're paying is going to the life insurance company, and another part of it is going to the savings or the cash value that bills inside.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say that you had this policy for about 5 years, paying on it faithfully. Okay. And then all of a sudden you have a reason to pull money out. Let's say that, you and your son want to go on vacation, or Lord forbid, you have a financial bind and you just want to take the money out. So when you call the insurance company to get that done and they tell you that you ain't got nothing to pull and you've been paying on this for 5 years, how
Mm.
would that make you?
Oh, I'm mad. What you mean? Where is my savings that I put aside? Like, where is it?
Exactly. I would be mad too, but I'm here to tell you, look, you can't pull nothing out for the first 2 to 5 years. So that's the situation there. Okay. And I know that you feel like you've poured way more into this policy and you should be able to receive something. Now, let's talk about after that 5 years when it does start to grow. It's only growing at 1 to 4%. Okay.
That's nothing. Yeah.
Now, when you are able to pull money out, let's say that you take out $5,000 from the policy when you can, but keyword borrow. And what we talked about before, you got to pay it back with what?
Mm-hmm. Your
With
money and
yes.
interest. Yes.
So, what do you think most people do, Miss Ladybird? What do you think they do? You think they pay it back, or they end up just keeping the money?
They probably keeping the money.
Yeah, and it's okay. You're not necessarily going to go to jail, or you won't have a fine. You won't be no legal consequence. However, since you did not pay that back in full, every single year that company's gonna take that five. Well, they took the 5,000 out already, right? Deducted it from your 100,000, and now
Right.
they're gonna 6 to 8% interest every single year. And your death benefit is getting smaller and smaller. And now
Mm.
what your family will receive from that 100,000.
Wow.
Okay.
And see, a lot of people ain't not think they either don't know or they're not thinking about it. That's crazy.
Yes, ma'am. Because a
Wow.
lot of explain. The only thing that agents typically say is, which one do you want, whole or term? Do you want to be able to borrow from it, or do you want your premium to be cheaper? And that's typically all they say.
Do you right? That is exactly what they are saying.
Right. So I'm gonna give you another scenario. I'm gonna say that you didn't borrow from it. You just let the savings build. Let's say that it built to $30,000 in savings. Do
Ooh.
you think you're gonna get both the 30,000 and the 100,000?
Probably not.
No, ma'am.
Mm.
That savings is called a living benefit. If you don't use it while you're alive, your family's only
It's
gonna get
gone.
the benefit.
Wow.
So you're paying for two things, but you're only able to get one. That's with whole life, and there's different variables of whole life as well. Anything that builds a cash value inside of it, that's the consequences that you have to face. So who's
So
winning on both?
that's basically like you just giving them a donation. It's a $30,000 donation, basically. Wow.
Absolutely. So listen, if you borrow from it or not, who do you think is gonna win? Either way.
Oh, they winning. They have won, basically.
Yes, ma'am. Now that's how the whole life policy works, and it benefits the agent more because they're getting a greater commission if they sell
Right.
this type of policy. So that's how the whole life works, okay? So if we can kind of do a breakdown of term, right? Because I came from the industry, I've worked for other different companies, so I know what's being said. If we
Right.
talk term, is going to be significantly cheaper than whole life, but you're going to be able to get 3 to 5 times the coverage. And you want to make sure that your savings is separate from your policy so that your policy don't eat away at your savings. Okay. Now, if you have the term policy and your investment account in place, the term policy is just in case you passed away before you even build your assets. And then the investment is there for when your policy does expire and you don't want to renew it. Okay, now you got that 6 or 7 figures to fall back on, and we're putting you in a position to not need life insurance. Okay, just like I mentioned before, there's a lot of older individuals that, either paid off their policy or they're still paying on it. They had about 30 some years.
Right.
With those individuals, if someone would have educated them on how to properly invest their money, they wouldn't have had to pour all of their money into the policy to begin with.
Mm. So
Okay.
it's not just about, it's not just about, that part. It's about also making sure you doing the right investment when it comes to it, because you could be putting money into it and that money is just, you know, again, a donation. It's like you just giving them all your money at this point.
And I love the way you said that. That's technically what you are doing. You helping that company get rich versus you and your family.
Right. Yeah. Because that's what happens, And I see it, I've seen it plenty of times. Somebody pass away and they'll be like, oh yeah, they got an insurance policy. We're gonna cash in the insurance policy. And you got about $200 left after you done buried them, pay for everything. And they thinking they getting thousands of dollars, and the reality is no. You got about a couple hundred. That's about it. Because people are not looking at, like you say, that money that's sitting there in that savings, that's for them while they're living. Once they gone, that money is gone.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So, in this case, I definitely like to encourage people on, making sure that they have multiple ways to leave wealth behind, not just one or two, right? So this is an instance there. Now, listen, Miss Lady Bird, I got another piece of information that I like to share for people who are not educated in the area of life insurance. Look, I am going to help get you paid to learn about life insurance, okay?
Oh, okay.
If you want to obtain your state license, this is an opportunity for me to help get you trained, get you licensed through the state, and that is a multiple stream of income, okay? So what we want to do is we want to spread this information to the masses because it was not taught to us in school how money truly works.
Oh, definitely not. You got the basics, and that was it.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
feel like this should be a part of why they want to teach you about the history of the country and this and this and this. Teach us about this too. Because granted, they don't even teach like home ec stuff anymore. They not like, unless it's maybe a private school that still has those values, but public schools, these kids are not learning true home ec. They're not learning true health classes. It's so much stuff they're not learning, and this is a big part of it too.
Mm, that's so true. Another thing just came to mind for me is um, we all know an older person that has been paying on their policy for about 20, 30 years, right? A lot of those people don't even know that their family member has snuck and borrowed money from that policy.
Mm,
I just ran across this situation, and it was an older lady. She was very devastated because she knew for a fact she didn't pull no money out. Okay.
right,
So I would encourage everyone to read that contract, no matter what type of policy you got. You need to read your contract, and you need to have a professional review it for you. I don't care if you just got a review last week. You can never be overly educated when it comes to the right type of coverage to have for you and your family.
right. So was that somebody who she had as like a beneficiary that was able to do something like that? How were they able to take money out the policy?
That's a good question. So I'm gonna give you a question. You know how sometimes we parents put things in our children's name because of
Mm,
Social Security number? That same type of situation where the
right.
child knows the information on the parent and know how to sign like their parent. So
Oh gosh.
yes,
So we
you
know they was doing all the notes in high school. Teacher say, send this home. I need your mama's signature. Okay. They done signed the mama. Oh goodness. Oh wow.
absolutely.
That
So you
is crazy.
just
But the thing is, think about it though, because here you are the child. You don't went and took money off of your parent policy, and something happens to them. And now guess what? When it's time to bury them and you looking like, okay, well, I only got this amount of money. Now you got to pull money out your pocket because you touched the money you weren't supposed to be touching.
that's true. And not only that, Miss Lady Bird, even if you don't have enough protection, right? You got a $20,000 policy. Well, the cost of living goes up so frequently that you may be underinsured and don't even, you're not even aware of that. So some people got to come out of their pocket anyway, even if they don't borrow from the policy because they didn't have enough in that policy to protect everybody. So now the church got to put
Right.
money with it. You got to come out your pocket. You got to put a GoFundMe on there, hoping that you get enough attention for it.
Yeah.
It's
And I
crazy.
yeah, and one thing I noticed too, and that's just because I've seen it in my own family. Like my grandmother had my uncle's policy, and then when she passed, my mom say, well, I don't want the policy to just lapse. So my mom took on the policy herself. But what's happening is there are a lot of people who are probably paying policies for like their children or grandchildren, and nobody may not know it. So when that person passes, the policy is just gone. So I think that's why it's also important to have the conversation within the family. Like, hey, you got life insurance, you got life, and if somebody in the family doesn't, well, let's talk about how we can get you some life insurance, because that really should be a thing. Like you say, nobody should be out here, you know, asking for cash apps, asking for GoFundMe's. Because, like, honestly, with wholehearted transparency, I probably am not going to donate to a GoFundMe, because I know that this is a resource that is out here that has been out here for years. Like believe it or, and you probably know this history too. A lot of the wealth, and especially in the African American community, a lot of that wealth that we've had, that Black Wall Street stuff, came from life insurance within our communities and families. Like, this is, and if we can get back to that, like, I think that'll be like amazing.
Yes, you made a good point there, because if we even talk about the other cultures, right? When they put a policy on the oldest person in the family, now they got some wealth left behind, and you can start a business with that. So yes, little do we know that when everybody's covered, you can actually do the things that you want to do with the policy, which is, investing it properly. Um, so saying all of that to say, our community needs to be more aware, just like what you said. Like most family, especially if you got a big family, you might as well go ahead and get that life insurance license so you can properly protect the whole family. You ain't got to worry about no person coming in and stealing the money and what they need. If you can do it yourself,
Right.
it. Man,
Right. Look, because my grandma had 14, my grandparents had 14 kids, and if they could get life insurance on them and make sure their kids have it growing up, and then make sure they understand the importance of having it as adults, I don't see why nobody else can.
right?
Definitely.
So, and that brings me to another point as well. People who have multiple kids, right? I'm able to cover all the kids, but you only have to pay for one child. Okay. A lot of people don't really see that instance. Most people put separate policies on each of the kids, or you have to pay for each of the kids. But no, I'm able to cover all the kids, and you just have to take care of one child. Okay. So I don't
Nice.
know where you can find that at, but I'm truly able to, and I really want to make sure that everybody has that proper protection.
Yes. So now, my question, because I have two kids who have special needs and disabilities. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, and there are a lot of parents who follow my page and who I interact with who also have special needs kids. And the thing is, going to find them life insurance, because most companies will say, well, they have pre-existing conditions or they don't qualify because of this or that. So are there any companies, I know I found a few, but are there really like that you can just think of and say, oh yeah, this person can go to this place and probably get insurance? Or are there programs or things that people who have, those pre-existing conditions or disabilities can still get some type of life insurance?
Okay, yeah. So in that case, that's definitely something that is case by case, right? Depending on what the situation is, I will be able to properly protect them. Now, it does have to go through underwriting with my company. But when it's underwriting, we don't take any payment at all. We determine if we're going to approve you or not, right? Now, I will say this: I am a little bit different from most people. If I can't properly protect you, I'm going to point you in the right direction of who can. Okay, so even if it's not with me, there are guarantee issue policies. So if the conditions are a little bit too severe, because most companies, they're afraid of protecting you if you are higher risk. There
Right.
are called guarantee issue that doesn't fit under a whole life or term. That means if you have a policy and you pass away, can you still hear me? I was getting a call.
Yeah. I can hear you.
So that guarantee issue policy, that means that we're not going to do any underwriting. You've already admitted that there are certain conditions, right? But the premium is a little bit more higher. It is a bit higher. But if you actually get just what you need, whether that be the 10 or 15,000 towards the burial, and then put an investment in place on your baby so that when they become up in age, you invested about 10 to 15 years, and now you got more than what your policy is worth. You can shut that policy down and let them have that investment account in place for them that will
Gotcha.
have more than what that policy was worth, and that way you're not throwing away money, technically, if you want to put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Cause so I'm definitely gonna, talk to you off things because I don't for my twins, I don't have a policy. And I think early on I did try many times, but it was always a thing, especially with my son. Oh well, he's on this, he's on that, he's on that. Cause that he came home, you know, I would still say critical. He had a trach, oxygen, different things. But
Mm-hmm.
now he doesn't take medication. Like he doesn't take medicine. He only has a feeding tube. So it's like he's not technically considered critical,
Right.
you know. And then his twin, she's not, she hasn't been critical or anything for a long time. She just is on the autism spectrum
Gotcha.
and
Yeah.
has the ADHD. So it's like now I'm like, okay, in my thought process, it's okay now that they're older and they're showing signs of like, okay, they're not critical, they're not having these issues. Maybe I need to try again because they're 15 now,
Right.
you
Okay.
know. So all those years that I could have been doing, I didn't because it was so much of a denial thing when I would try. So I was like, you know what, let me just wait,
Yeah.
and just thankfully nothing's ever happened to either one of them, but now it's like, okay, they're getting older. I'm getting older. I want to make sure things are in place. So if something does happen to me as I get older and they get older, that, things are in place and everyone knows, okay, this is what Ladybird has in place for the twins or the other kids in the event, whatever. I want to make because like my oldest daughter has a policy, my youngest daughter has because they're typical kids. There was no fight about it. It's just the twins that I have to get, in place. So we got to get them. Yeah. So whatever we have to do, I'm down. So look, so I'll be able to come back and say, listen, Breia got us together. Whether
Yes.
she had to go get that extra help from somebody or not, we're gonna get it together. Cause just the information that you are giving is I feel like this was like us connecting. Um, definitely was something that needed to happen. Look, tell them don't be calling. But no, I
All
was
right. Can
saying
you hear
like
me?
yeah, I hear you. I was saying like us connecting was definitely something I feel like that happened for a reason because I've really had a lot of people that have reached out to me about it, especially when I made the post a while ago and things happened and I never did it. But then when you and I had the conversation, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just get it done. And so, yeah, I definitely thank you for coming on here because I feel like this was how it was meant to be and how the information needed to be presented. So definitely, yeah.
Okay, awesome. I really agree. I'm always passionate about talking about this, so I'm never gonna get tired of talking about it, okay? Ever. So thank you for having me.
Yes, and then another question. Um, so as far as with my page, me doing the HIV and AIDS advocacy,
Mhm.
so would that also fall under that category of like especially with like disability and things, would they also look at that as like pre-existing? Because I do have life insurance, but there are a lot of people who are looking for it, they can't find it because my mom got it on me. So and I look, I don't even remember who she got it with. She paid it. That's bad. But a lot of people are looking for life insurance who are diagnosed as HIV positive or have an AIDS diagnosis, but they even if they have the AIDS diagnosis, that doesn't mean that they are in an AIDS, active AIDS status. So it's like they're trying to find life insurance. Do you have resources for that also? Or is that a part of that whole going through the underwriter and all that stuff?
That's a good question. So, I have actually seen several, HIV and AIDS applicants be approved. Okay, so it still needs to go through underwriting because we will like to look at your medical records. But other than that, we'll more than likely either be able to cover you myself, or again, I can point you into that guarantee issue policy. But again, I don't want to put you in anything that you feel like you got to pay on for the rest of your life. I definitely want to be able to make sure that you are investing properly. You may be able to retire yourself a lot faster than what you're currently doing if you have the proper investment vehicle. So yes, I just want to recap and say this: life insurance is not supposed to be a permanent bill. No, you don't have to pay on it the rest of your life. And even if you think you got to pay it off, you better go look and see what age is in that contract. But other than that, we do show you how to insure yourself and then put you in place to not need that insurability anymore, which is through the investments.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know someone in the comments want to know how to reach out. So I have it scrolling across the bottom for you guys. Her email, bria.newmy@gmail.com, and the phone number 870-530-8715. That's how you can get in contact with Bria. And whatever it is you need, she can get you. If she can't get it, she can get you to the right person that can help you with whatever it is that you're needing. Because look, I'm about to put Bria to work. She about to go to work, y'all. I'm about to really we
Put me.
finna get Bria to work with these twins. Um So yes, hey Rose, I see Rose in the chat. So it's scrolling across the bottom. So you guys make sure you jot that information down. I'm gonna also copy and paste it into the comments so it'll be there for you guys. Any last things you want to leave with them before we go? Because again, I definitely really appreciate you for coming on here and sharing this information. This is Aaron. This is broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm gonna make sure it gets reshared so more people can see it. But yeah, any last things you want to share before we get out of here?
I mean, we pretty much have covered a lot. I don't want to talk anybody's ear off. I will say that things, certain situations are case by case. So I would love to do a free financial needs analysis to see what would be best suited for each individual that, inquires about it.
Gotcha. And then two, I'm looking on here. So not only does Bria do the life insurance, but she also can talk to you about home owners insurance, renters insurance. Listen, I remember the first time that I rented an apartment and they said to me, "Oh, you got to have rent insurance." I was like, "What is that? What's rent?" And I did not realize that a lot of people did not get renters insurance. Let me tell you, renters insurance is very important because say your neighbor can't cook and they start a house fire and that fire spreads into your home and you don't have home renters insurance, you are not able to properly get compensated for your damaged items. Say that anything can happen, so you want to make sure that you have. Oh, the kids going wild.
It's okay. Kids,
Yeah.
other people on here got kids too. So we,
Yes. Give me a second, Michelle. Okay. She said her stomach growling. Lord have
my
mercy.
daughter before we even hopped on this Zoom, so I know exactly, okay, what's up.
It's like they wake up and their stomach just start growling like they haven't ate all day. I don't know what is going on. Yeah. Okay, Michelle, I'll get. What do you like? What would you like? Tenders. Okay, I'll give you tenders. Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, so Bria does the auto insurance as well, and business insurance. A lot of people don't even think about business insurance. And then she can also create a financial plan for you, whether it's retirement, college, or investment plans, which is really good, especially college. If you have kids, that's something good to have. Trust me. I thought about it with my oldest daughter, and honestly, I'm kind of glad I a little bit didn't get too deep into it because now she graduated and she's like, well, I want to travel and I want to explore. But it is something great to have. She can help you set up an annuity. And then also discuss things when it comes to rollovers like the 401k, 403b, and pensions. Help you create a will. Another very important thing because you do not want to be sitting in the room when people are arguing over who getting what after Big Mama is gone. Cause that in itself. So um creating the will. Now do you do living wills and just I guess what you call a regular will? How do is there even a differentiation with it? So do you do living wills? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then help you eliminate debt. Ooh, child. That's a good one too. So she can help you do a lot of things. So definitely reach out to Bria if any of those things you're needing help with. She can help you with it. And just from this conversation, I can tell you right now, her knowledge is very extensive with all this because it's showing right here just with this conversation of life insurance. So definitely please reach out if there's something you're needing help with. She is going to be there to help you. She's getting ready to help me. We're going to have to set up a time that we can sit and talk and get things taken care of. But thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it. And anything last things you want to tell them before we end it?
Okay. So you pretty much capped it all off. Now I will say that if any of you individuals out there do home health, look, we have a passive income opportunity for you as well. We do senior health care, and that is on a referral basis, so that doesn't take time from you. That is can be another stream of income under your belt. We help individuals get approved for a mortgage loan as well. So there's many different ways that we can help you. I can sit down with you for about 30 minutes and see what solution is going to be best for you. And again, if you're looking for an additional stream of income, we have multiple streams under one umbrella. So if you want to talk about making more money, we can talk about that too. And that's really it, Ms. Bird.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Stay right there real quick. I'm going to move you down into the studio while I close it out. All right, you guys. So I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. I know it's a night time. Everybody's probably watching TV and doing different things. But this replay is going to be here. I'm going to make sure I get it reshared out. It's going to be on Facebook, YouTube. I'm also going to take it and share it to Twitter, TikTok, and some other little apps that I test out and play with. I'm an app junkie. And so I'm going to get this sent out and shared multiple places. I want you guys to really think about how important it is to have life insurance and how important having this conversation is. So again, thanks Bria for coming on here. You guys have an amazing night. And that is going to be it for Lady Bird Live on Facebook for this special interview tonight. You guys have a great evening.